okay. Your baby.
I don't. Is it?
Yes, it is. You know it is, and everybody knows.
Speaking of babies, I should put a hat on. Should I go backwards hat?
Today, huh?
Or should I go frontwards hat? Nope, I can't because it's like stabbing the back of my headrest, and that's super uncomfortable. I gotta switch it.
I'm one of those guys that should always wear a hat.
What's the deal with Michael's hat?
I wish that hair surgery was cheaper.
How come you got quiet all of a sudden? Did you like back up from your microphone?
No, I don't. I actually moved it closer.
You moved it closer, and then you got quieter. Interesting.
Did I seriously get quieter?
No, I think you're fine. I'm checking out the waveforms down here, and it looks like the waveforms are doing what they're supposed to. Problem is, like, having to monitor a lot of this stuff. It's very frustrating.
It happens. You're good at it, though.
Nah,
You'll figure it out.
It's all just screwed up anyway.
Not whatever.
See, like, when you yawned like there, it, like, peaked on the waveform, like you yawning, like, big time.
That's interesting.
So your voice is, like, super low, and then you yawn, and you're like, waveform. Try it again. Yawn for me.
You can't yawn on command.
Yes, you can.
That's just weird.
I will yawn. I will yawn here, and I'll see if I can make you yawn again.
Yeah, I'm not watching you. Can't watch myself. You can't do the thing. You got to do the next thing.
You could totally do the thing.
Once I get all this stuff wireless, it's gonna be better.
It'll all be better in the end. Is that what you're saying?
Yep. Because I got wires going all over. We're all wireless here at Shroot Farm, and once I find all the wires, we'll get that electricity turned right back on for you.
You have to find the wires.
Yeah, Mo stole all the wires. That's what made Shroot Farms wireless.
Huh. I still haven't finished all that series, so I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Yeah, you got to go watch The Office, man. It's a good flick.
Should I?
Movie.
Do I have to?
Oh yeah, you should. Absolutely.
Have you watched?
Made me watch a bunch of baloney.
Have
so
you?
You definitely got to go watch that.
What baloney of mine did you watch recently?
Recently?
Yeah.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah, one of the best movies ever.
Yep. Yeah.
You're an insane person if you didn't like that movie. Like, I don't know what to tell you. If you didn't enjoy that movie, then you've got other issues.
Did you just say I'm an entertaining person?
Interesting person. No, you're not very entertaining.
Oh, wow, that's rough. Tell your co-host right before we start a show.
I think we both know that we're like not that entertaining, so we just like, I guess we'll just get on here and record. Who else are you gonna listen to?
So entertaining.
Are you?
To my elementary school students, I am the best. I didn't click on Ready Player One.
What are you watching movies?
No, I clicked on Harry Potter.
Yeah, why would you be in like Ready Player One?
I'm looking at Christmas gifts, and I clicked a button that says Harry Potter, and it took me to a bunch of like Ready Player One stuff. That's actually not a terrible ugly sweater. Oh, that one's cool. Kai would like that big time.
Reached a kill screen. What's a kill screen?
It's the screen that kills. Duh.
Ooh, this will be fun. We're going to do this BuzzFeed quiz. How many of these video game things have you done? How much of a gamer are you actually? You want the internet to tell you, Mike, if you're a gamer or not?
Yeah, that's what I need the internet to do. Tell me where the areas in which I'm failing.
I'm pretty sure the internet is really good at that. So I think it'll be exciting. It'll be a fun test to take.
The internet sucks.
Does it really? My kids got these stickers.
From
the Switch Witch. Do you know the Switch Witch?
I do not know the Switch Witch.
Let me tell you about the Switch Witch. The Switch Witch is one of the greatest people out there. The Switch Witch comes the day after Halloween and takes out all the candy and replaces candy with books.
Oh.
So all the candy gets taken away, and kids got books, and they got stickers from Among Us, and yeah. They really enjoy that tradition that we have.
Like you're being serious?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Well, they get so much
Where
candy for Halloween.
where does the candy go?
It might go to someone's. It might go to someone's office where it gets eaten.
Did you have to check the room?
I did. I had to make sure because
Was
sometimes they sneak
that
up on you.
was that subtle kind of
Oh yeah, I definitely
break in
gotta
your
check. It's
audio?
like, all right, who's here? Who's watching? So
The Switch Witch. How many years into it until you came up with that one?
it's been 6 years, I think, since we've been doing it, and the kids really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. They enjoy the books that they get afterwards, and we enjoy not having to pay for so many cavity fillings.
Interesting.
I mean, it's like a win-win, right? I see this as a win. Plus, my kids like books a lot, so they really enjoy it.
Well, that's good. I guess we all.
You're like really down on my like Switch Witch idea here. I'm disappointed.
It's just weird how you live with someone for a majority of your life, and then when you go out on your own, they start doing stuff that you had never ever even thought of, and you're like, oh yeah, because that's what we worry about as kids. But I guess it's different when you worry about it as parents.
Yeah, I mean,
That was loud, whatever that was.
how loud was it?
Is that Mr.
All right.
Is that Mr. Cruz?
I gotta talk to you about something.
That's my man Keanu.
How come you're rolling?
I'm just testing,
Audio
making sure.
rating?
I'm just making sure everything is
Oh.
working. So I can do this
Oh.
and I can play them all at the same time.
All right.
Listening to Freelancer.
So that's the thing that I can do. I have the power. I've got the power. But I should not abuse this power.
¿Piensas que
Really?
poner al aire acondicionado?
¿Quiere aire acondicionado? Este güey.
All right, it's 8:30. You want to get this show started? Do you want to start the show?
I thought I was going faster.
All right, so let's go ahead and get this thing started. Patrons, we're going to jump into the show here. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you have been hanging out with us from the beginning, or if you're listening to this, we really appreciate your support. You're the best of all of us. Thank you, patrons. All right, Mike, let's start episode 147.
147.
You are listening to the Freelancer Codex, a podcast brought to you by the Shut Up and Respawn Network.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 147 of the Freelancer Codex podcast. It is November the 5th of the year 2020. I am your host, Steve, along with my co-host, Michael. Michael, how are you doing today on this Thursday?
You know, I knew a girl named 147.
You did?
I did. She had green eyes. I'm doing well. Things are going great. Halloween has come and gone. We've got candy in the storehouse, and the roosters are crowing, and the cows are spinning circles in the pasture.
I'm like dumbfounded because I'm like waiting for the punchline of your joke, and I'm trying to figure out what it is, and I'm like having a really hard time figuring it out. So you're gonna have
Don't
to
worry
help
about
me
it.
out
It's
here.
it's come and gone. It's come and gone. It's like a moo point.
A moo point?
Yeah, you know, it's like something a cow would say. You don't even worry about it. It's
Yep.
like a moo point.
Today, being November 5th, the Xbox Series X will be released in 5 days from now. The PlayStation
Dun, dun,
5
dun.
and the Series S as well, so you'll be getting your Series S in no time, Mike. The Xbox Series
Yeah.
X,
Unless they drop my pre-order,
which is
has
very
been happening
possible.
to people, which I don't think is very cool or fun. But hopefully everything works out. I had to tell my wife, all right, it comes out this paycheck, so make sure we have enough to cover it. And so
So you're like, don't touch it. I want to get my pre-order. Hopefully you get that thing, man. It'll be exciting because then you'll be able to play all the new Destiny stuff on it, and you'll be able to play it in 60 frames a second on your TV, if that's where you're planning on playing all of your stuff, or unless you're still planning on playing on the computer. But
So I'll probably bring the Series S to my computer workstation, and I'll probably plug it in here. The boys can still use the C. let me get this right. The boys can still use the Series XS. I
Nope.
think it's XS
It's
because
the
it's slim.
no, it's the Xbox One
No,
S.
Xbox One S, the One S. Yeah, too many X's. So they'll still use the One S on our TV in the family room when they want to play games together. I'll probably set one of them up on the S. Yeah, too many things going together. The new one, so they can play together that way. But I'll probably keep the new one here at my desk. I'll probably still most likely keep playing Destiny from PC. I think occasionally jumping over to the new one, but we'll see. I definitely don't want to buy the game in two places,
Right, because
and
that doesn't make sense.
and so yeah, and so I'll probably just keep it. I'll probably just keep it on PC. Although now that they say that, and I'm thinking through this, I've got Forsaken, and which one came out before Forsaken? Anyway, so we've got the Game Pass versions of Forsaken and the other one. How terrible am I? I haven't been playing the other one. What was the other one called? Forsaken and
Beyond Light. Nope, not Beyond
no,
Light. That's the new one coming out.
What was the expansion before Forsaken?
You're gonna make me look it up. I have no idea. I've not been keeping up with Destiny 2. Destiny.
Oh, come on, Mike.
2
Anyway,
expansions.
um,
Forsaken and Shadowkeep.
Shadowkeep. I kind of terrible that I spaced that.
Yeah, Fake Gamer.
I've been playing them this week, so I don't know why I spaced that. But I'll probably keep those, right, because those came to Game Pass, and so I'm not sure if I'm just gonna jump over to the new one and continue there, or if I want to get it on PC. I definitely don't think my CFO will let me get it in both places, so I'll have to weigh those options and see. It'll depend on if Steven will start playing when new stuff comes out. Maybe if Devin has some free time in his new endeavors that
I don't think
he might be able to.
I don't think Devin plays video games anymore. Rusted, thanks for hanging out with us in the chat. So if you don't mind me asking, like if you don't have it, you don't have plans to play anything exclusively on the S, correct?
Maybe not. No, not really exclusively.
So then why are you getting one?
Oh, because.
All right, that's enough for me.
Same reason you got VR headset.
So I could play games that I can't play anywhere else.
Can you?
Yeah, there are some games that you can.
Mostly you just go for walks on your VR, and you can do that outside. So there's.
I don't think I've gone for a walk at all on my VR headset, so I'm not sure exactly what
you're missing out, dude. You are missing out. So you raise an interesting point because you're kind of like an Ebenezer curmudgeon when it comes to new consoles. You're like, which is really strange for you, because I figured that you'd have at least one of them ordered, the X or the S. But you're being all kind of like weird about it because you're like the one time that I jump on the boat, you're like, no, responsible adult. Mike has been the responsible adult for the longest time, and so now we're gonna flip roles, and he's gonna get it just cause. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna be in this. I'm gonna do this by myself. But I'll test it out and I'll try it and I'll play it. I'll see what all the hype is, and so it really is kind of weird. I mean, it really is kind of weird that you're not getting a new one. Maybe it's because you've transitioned to PC. And so you're like, I'm gonna put all my money and resources into PC, which you definitely could, right? Like you can constantly be putting money into your PC and build it up and change it and tweak it, and maybe there's a new case and let's get some RGB RAM, let's play with some fans and do some cool things here and look at the new mods, graphics cards and stuff, right? With the Xbox, like, this is your box. Wait until the next one comes out to get a new one, right? So
yeah, I think it's just different. Like I'm glad that you're getting one. I think there's plenty of reasons why someone would want to upgrade right now, whether it's faster load times, which is going to be a huge thing, especially in Destiny. Destiny load times are very long. Anthem load times were very long. There's a lot of games where you're like, you're waiting over a full minute for things to load in. We know that the Series X and the Series S have faster load time, so I mean that alone would be a reason to upgrade. But for me, since I'm just playing mostly on PC, like you said, like that stuff doesn't really matter to me as much. I was trying to buy a PlayStation 5 when it first came up, but I was unable to get one. I kept getting PS5s taken out of my cart over and over again, and after trying for like 45 minutes, I just got upset and I was like, whatever, I'm not doing this anymore. And then we started hearing about all the games that were supposed to be exclusive to the PlayStation 5 were also coming to the PlayStation 4. And there's not like a huge rush to go out and buy one. So I'm like, okay, I can either just wait till next year when they're available, when I have a little bit of extra spending money, or when there's a game that I really need one of those systems for in order to play it. And eventually that'll probably happen.
That's kind of just a weird thing that everybody's kind of going through now, because you're probably not the only person in that boat, right? And so I bet PlayStation is kind of, or Sony anyways, is gonna feel the effects of that, right? People not being able to get one day one, and then getting the news that you really don't need to have one day one. And
Well,
then a couple of the news stories that we're going to cover tonight, kind of the way that Sony is treating their stuff. Like, I know it's theirs to treat the way that they want to treat it, but if someone has the ability to do something to a console, which I mean, how would you not be able to with the advent of 3D printers and everybody building stuff on their own? Speaking of like cases and covers, which I think there should be a market for anyway on every console. Like, I would love to be able to have removable skins, removable cases for every gaming console that I have. That just makes sense, right? I mean, that's just cash flow coming in. It's what loot boxes, and it's wraps and skins, like, but in the actual physical world. But I bet Sony's missing out on a lot of people who weren't able to get one pre-ordered day one when they became available, and who have since said, you know what, I guess I'll just wait till next year.
yeah, I think
Um,
the thing with like console launches, like they always sell out. Like there hasn't been a console launch that I can remember where like it was like they didn't do well out of the gate. Like maybe the Wii U, but that was like so weird and they had such weird messaging that maybe that one didn't do great out of the gate. But like everyone is like so excited for new things. Like, and normally like I'll go buy something day one just to say like I got it day one. You don't really need it, but you want to have that experience. You want to be part of the conversation that, hey, I got a PlayStation 5 or I got an Xbox Series X day one, and you can play the games that you can on it. So like they'll both do fine. They'll sell out of PlayStation 5s. They'll sell out of Series S's and Series X's. So they'll do good, but
well, I guess the point I was making was, yeah, they'll sell out because, as evidenced by you trying to get one and not being able to. But then, how many people will be part of that second wave? Like,
I
that's what I'm saying. I think that second wave is going to not be as big as it could have been. Again, citing Sony's exclusives, and if all their games can play on the other console, then really, what's the point?
well,
So,
I definitely
you know,
think I definitely think that both like the second wave of the Xbox and the PlayStation 5s will sell out again. I think it's easy for us to underestimate the appeal of faster load times, but also I think it's also a tough year. So I mean, it could go with it. I think they'll sell. There, you could make the argument that because of the virus, the pandemic, people being out of work, out of jobs, that there's not a lot of money to go around to spend on that. Especially like you said, when you can say, well, I can spend $500 now, or I could save it and still play all of these games on my PlayStation 4 and then buy it down the line, which I think a lot of people will do. Like, I think a lot of people will wait and they'll get them whether they're on sale or they're part of bundle deals when that price drops a little bit. So I think it's a weird year to be like, no one expected what has happened, but it's happening. So it'll be interesting to see what the fallout is from releasing a console now. And like, even, when we talk about Xbox, like there's no games coming out for Xbox that are like, I have to play this game. I have to buy the Series X to play this game. Like Halo Infinite was delayed, and that's not going to be coming out till sometime next year. So that's a huge blow to them. But again, it's like, well, I can play all the games that I'm playing now, because there are a lot of games that it's no longer about I play this game for a little bit and then I move on. We're playing the living games that stick with you, like the Rainbow Six Siege. Those are games that you play all the time. Overwatch, Destiny, Division, I don't know if anyone's talking about Division anymore. Like Warframe, Sea of Thieves, those are games that are like, oh, I can just play this better on this new system. It's not exactly the huge system seller, but it is a bonus to forking over that money now, is that you get to play it faster. I think eventually, like all the consoles will do really well. Like the Switch is still doing really well, but that's kind of a whole different ball game. They're not really playing on the same field as Xbox and Sony right now, but it'll be interesting to see how everything shakes out towards the end of the year, and we get to see numbers and stuff. So
Yeah.
all right, and then we'll talk about the Sony stuff here in a bit. But first, we wanted to thank everyone from all of our patrons. Thank you for supporting us on patreon.com/Freelancer Codex. We appreciate it very much. We'd like to thank Julius, Nathan B, Michael R, Trent B, Man in Steel, Scout69, Dragonheart76, Jeffrey H, The Gameplay Experience, RZ, and Phaedron. Thank you so much for supporting us. If you want to kick $1 our way and get access to our pre-show, you can do that at patreon.com/Freelancer Codex. You get access to 4 bonus shows for $1 a month. It's pretty cheap. And you can even go look at our other tiers there and get access to those. And then you can join our Discord. We'll have a Discord in the link of the show notes below. All right, Mike, I believe that is all of the beginning stuff. I want to do this thing really quick, and then we'll jump into what we're playing, and we'll jump into the news. Or, no, let's go to the news really quick. There is some news. I don't think it's like super exciting or stuff. We're kind of like waiting for next week for everything to drop. There's been a lot of people that have gotten access to the Series X and to the PlayStation 5, and they're showing off boxes and stuff. That's all. They're like stretching out this launch big time by only being under embargo to show boxes and not being able to show this. So I think we'll get a lot of that next week, and we'll have a lot more to talk about next week. So I think we'll talk about things that we are doing after we talk about the news. So we're going to jump into the news with Keanu bringing us in.
All right. I gotta talk to you about something.
This just in, the results of the 2020... Oh, no, this is a different news story. This is Everspace 2 has been delayed following the Cyberpunk 2077 release date. Seems like the developers of Everspace were saying, hey, with Cyberpunk being delayed and being pushed to when we were going to delay, it's better that they just stop, let people play Cyberpunk, and then move it on. Their quote was, to get the cyber elephant out of the room right away, the Cyberpunk 2077 release has just been pushed back to December 10th, which is a major blow to our planned Everspace 2 early access release in mid-December. Not only will every media outlet and content creator cover arguably the most anticipated AAA game in history throughout the entire holiday season, and not much else, we also know that there is quite a bit of audience overlap within our communities. So this is something that I thought was interesting, that the developers on Everspace were like, yeah, I think a lot of the people that are interested in our game are going to be jumping over and playing this. And since they want their game to be successful, they decided just to push it. And I think that's that's a valid reason to do so. And I just thought
it's slippery though.
Like, what do you mean slippery?
Because then you can always be pushing stuff back, right? You know, holiday season is a rough time to launch anything. We know that because of everything that's coming out, and if you keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing, I mean, that kind of like just put it out there, guys. You know, if it's gonna do good, it's gonna do good. You know, I know people don't want to get lost in the minutia of everything going on, and they want to have their day, but like I say, at some point you just got to put it out there. So you gotta just trust that your product is everything that you've touted it to be, and that people are gonna play your game no matter what. So I guess not always, but I'm nervous. Not nervous. I don't have the right words. I'm saying get it out there. Don't push and push and push and push.
I don't know. I guess this is like
because you can always have a not right time to put it out, right?
That's true.
We want to put out because of this. We want to wait. Well, how long are you gonna wait? Get it out. Come on.
I think this is more like planning your wedding on the Super Bowl, though.
But would the people who were going to come to your wedding even watch the Super Bowl?
Yes, let's say that they would, because the developers are saying that a good cross section of their community is most likely going to do that.
So here's the thing though, Steve. If your guests would watch the Super Bowl anyway, like then you would probably make it a Super Bowl themed wedding, right? Because that's usually how it goes. You'd be
You
wearing your team colors or whatever.
you want
So
them to
like
make it
embrace it.
a,
Well, I
cy-
mean,
a
I mean,
cyberpunk
saying like
edition release to their early access?
say that again.
You would want them to theme Everspace 2 early access release around Cyberpunk 2077?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that you always have the uncle who's gonna watch the game while you're saying your vows or whatever. But if you're planning your wedding to release during the Super Bowl, then you're probably gonna have a Super Bowl themed wedding. Like just release your game, let people play,
Well,
give them options.
I think the difference also is that they were going to release because the Super Bowl was a month earlier. So they thought that they did have time. So with the Super Bowl getting moved, I think that changed a little bit of the story of like, oh crap, we were safe and now this is moved. So now because the Super Bowl is on our wedding, we should probably move our wedding.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Or just forget what I said and just do your thing.
I'm not. Oh it's Mulehorn Gaming with the raid. That wasn't me. I didn't push that button. It wasn't me. Mulehorn is raiding the channel. So thanks everyone for hanging out and joining us right now. So, yeah, you just missed out on Mike's hot take on Cyberpunk. All right, so let's move on. Did you know, Mike, this is something that I know that you love, is talking about specs for systems. So the Godfall PC specs finally have been made available. It was very, very late in the game. The game is coming out in 7 days, and we got specs just recently. So these are the specs for Godfall. If you want to play on minimum settings, they didn't tell us exactly what the minimum settings targets are. But you're going to need an AMD Ryzen 5 1600 or an Intel Core i5 6600, 12 gigabytes of RAM, and a RX 580 or a GTX 1060 graphics card. So that's minimum settings.
I don't know why anybody would do anything without a GI 1060.
Exactly. So the recommended settings and the recommended target is 1080p at 60 frames a second is a Ryzen 5 3600 or an Intel i7 8700, 16 gigs of RAM. And GPU side, they want you to have either a 5700 XT from AMD or a 1080 Ti. So these are the recommended settings. Everyone was kind of the general consensus on the Godfall Reddit was that these specs seem really, really high. Like this is only 1080p at 60. So unless there's some crazy like processing going on for lighting, or if they're including things like ray tracing, AMD does all of their ray tracing software side. So my guess is with this recommendation, it has ray tracing on, so it's pulling a lot from the graphics card in order to run that. I don't know exactly what something like a 1080 or the 20 series cards from NVIDIA are going to be doing, because they do all that stuff hardware side. But it seems really high, the specs, just to run at 1080-60 when we've been doing that for a really long time. There's been a lot of talk about optimization on Godfall, like what's happening there. Like, is it under optimized? Like, what's going on? I think it's one of those things where maybe they've just been targeting really high so that they give people, like, just to be safe. I'm not sure. Like, maybe people will be surprised that they're like 1060s or something will be able to run it at the max settings. But also, this was on their high setting. There is another setting above that. So, like, I'm interested to see, like, next week when Digital Foundry gets a hold of Godfall and they do all of their benchmarks, like what they are actually going to find, what's eating up the CPU, what's taxing the GPU, and what the best benchmarks are for that. Because the PlayStation 5 they've been saying that it's running at 4K 60. If the PlayStation 5 can run it at 4K 60, I'm like, the 1080 Ti settings are really surprising to me because it seems like that's really high, but we're just going to have to see. That's a lot of technical mumbo jumbo that I'm just not prepared to answer or figure out in any way. We'd have to send it to a couple of the people over in our Discord chat who love talking numbers and stuff. So, other thing that's going on. So, Mike, do you want to, tell us what is going on with this Sony third-party faceplate manufacturer fiasco?
All right, so I talked about it briefly, just kind of alluded to it, and those of you who don't know, so it seems very easy in today's world to make things at home, right? There's tons of creative people in our nation, in our world, who are just amazing at making things. And most times, many people make things that speak to them and that are in their world and that they love to do, right? So creative people who play video games love to put their mark and their name, not maybe not their name, but put their mark and create stuff. And one of the things that I think is a great idea is creating faceplates.
I could put this
There
3D
was a
printed helmet on my microphone.
You're gonna put what?
I should put this 3D printed helmet on my microphone as like a microphone
Yeah,
cover.
right. I mean, it's super cool. You got to turn it into your pop filter, right?
That's a
And
genius
so
idea.
it is a super dope idea. All right, so a company, a third party PlayStation 5 faceplate manufacturer company was manufacturing faceplates at $40 each, right? Which is fine. Maybe it's a little bit high. I don't know. I haven't seen the faceplate.
That actually
Well,
sounds
I guess-
super
I
low to
guess-
me.
Yeah, when you have to have that much plastic because the PlayStation 5 is huge.
Plus
Anyway,
shipping.
Anyway, so they were making faceplates for this, right? And then Sony came in and said, you know what? You can't advertise that it's a I'm confused. Let me back up.
No one was walking.
There's a mollusk
No one was
and a sea
talking.
cucumber. So the company was called Plate Station. Okay? Plate Station. Sony came in and said, no, your name is too close to ours. You're infringing on our IP. You have to change it. Okay? And then they came back and said, not only are you infringing on our name, but the faceplates are actually also considered our IP, and you can't sell them anymore. Okay? And I would be really not at this point, nothing would surprise me, but I would not be surprised if in a couple weeks Sony now sells faceplates for their consoles because they see that there's a market for them. I mean, it just seems like that they would do, right? They're not getting the money for themselves, so they stopped the company that was making the money, and now they're gonna get it for themselves. And this really confuses me because I mean, I'm sure that like companies like Spec and Incipio and all of these other cell phone companies who create cases for cell phones probably have licensing agreements and probably give a percentage to the companies that they're making the cell phone cases for, because I guess maybe you can say that they're taking their IP in the sense that, you know, this is their shape, this is where cameras are, and have to cut the holes for that and stuff. But it just seems really dirty that Sony would do this. Let people create, let people make. Like I said at the top of the show, I'd love to be able to put a Destiny case on my Xboxes, either a physical plastic case, even a wrap. You know, I'd love to have interchangeable face plates for controllers, so that the boys know which one is theirs, quote unquote. And just to, again, just change it every now and then, you know, maybe not to the point where I change it every time I change games, but I'd like the opportunity to be able to do that and change out the colors.
Yeah, so
Even to be able to pull them off and clean them up, and then just to put them back on so that you can keep your stuff working clean. It just makes sense to me, and it seems really I don't like that Sony has shut them down. I think it's super cool that they were doing it, and I hope they find a way to be able to continue to make their product and be able to put it out.
I think, you know, like I was looking, so I have a Power A Fusion controller for Xbox. It's a wired controller. And on the back you can like put extra
Wired
paddle.
or wireless?
This one is a wired controller. Like I'm at my PC, so I play wired. So this one actually has an option that's pretty cool. I don't know if you can see this. So I'm going to show this up here. But this faceplate like you can change out these things, but this one is just magnetized on there and it just comes off.
Word.
And then you can just pop it back on and you can see the magnets that hold this plate on. It's actually a really cool design, because if someone wanted to make a bunch of these and like change them up or like texture them or do something different with them, you could do that, and then it just pops on. The only problem with these controllers, they use the stupid micro USB cable, and these things suck so bad. Like this one, like anytime you breathe on it, it disconnects from the controller, and that's super frustrating. The thing that I think is happening with Sony with this backplate thing, I think lawyers get really trigger happy. I think lawyers at big companies get really trigger happy. I think they send out DMCAs for anything and everything that they can. I think when you have a small little company that's trying to do something like this, it's very easy to be cowed down by a company like Sony, even if the lawyers have no idea what they're like actually doing. I mean, this is very possible, and I am sure that when the people were actually developing the PlayStation and people at Sony that are excited about it, like, yeah, people are going to do this, they're going to make things for it, because the more people that are making things like third-party products for your system, like, you know, rising tides raises all ships or whatever, however that saying goes, they would be excited about that, because people are excited enough about your console to create something like this. But I think lawyers get involved and they're just like, blanket, stop it, don't even mess with it, you're too close to Sony, whatever you're doing, shut it down. Because I don't think that there's any way that Sony could be like, let's say that they did patent like the design of their object. I don't even know that they can. I don't know if they can patent just like a shape. I don't know if that's something that you can do in a patent without saying like, hey, this is the function, without giving something like that, right? So
I actually think you can. I actually think you can patent most things.
I don't think you can patent just like a shape. Like if you were to
Well,
say,
I mean,
like
it's a pretty unique shape in and
no,
of itself.
like
right?
if you were to say, hey, I'm gonna patent a sphere, like you couldn't do that. That's not something that you could do.
We'll get
then
back to you on that. We got to figure that out.
I mean, if we can patent a sphere, let's get on that. And then anytime someone sells like a ball, like you get a kickback on that. One of the things that I'm guessing will happen, because this is the thing that we were talking about before. Not only like will people make the shape of the PlayStation 5 and change, and you know the way it is now, but there's opportunities to actually change the form factor. So even if you knew exactly where those points were that the faceplate attaches to the PlayStation 5, you could make, you know, just a rectangle. You could turn the PlayStation 5 in just into a square box based on whatever design you make, as long as you have your, you know, anchor points matched up. You can make it whatever shape you wanted. You could turn it into a circle. You can turn it into a giant pyramid monolith.
So I bet there are people out there who do that anyway and have the know-how and the abilities to do that to the different consoles that are out there. I guess the big thing is they're making money off of it. That's the thing that lawyers get involved with. Because I'm sure, and I bet if we were to Google unique console designs, we would come up with tons of things.
Yeah.
I say that pretty loosely, thinking that there's a huge market. And I haven't looked into it at all myself, but I would hope there is, maybe. Like, I would hope that there are people who are doing that. When I was researching building a PC for the first time, and I looked up unique PC builds, I mean, the things that I found were amazing, right? Aquarium PCs that attach just to the wall with all the peripherals attached. You know, that's something that I definitely want to do in my lifetime, to be able just to have everything on the PC, have my PC attached to the wall and have it light up like a Christmas tree. So there's gotta be those creative people out there that do exactly what you say. Okay, these are the attachment points. This is what this console needs. I can create a box that is a unique shape. I can make it look like the state of Delaware, or I can make it look like,
what does Delaware
Taj
look
Mahal.
like?
I don't know what Delaware looks like. That's the state that came to my mind. And so I think that's super cool. I think the big thing, like we learn when we become an adult, is that everything's about money, right? And so, not to harp too much on them, but like, boo Sony, like, boo. But you know what? At the end of the day, I mean, it's your product. Like, you have you have the big time lawyers. You might have the rights to that intellectual property if you can call a shape intellectual property. So
Can you
I don't know.
patent a shape? Can you
Are you,
patent?
you're looking it up right now.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't. The answer to your question is that yes, the number of shapes is limited, and no, a company cannot patent a simple shape. Okay.
A simple shape, right? So the PlayStation I bet is not considered a simple shape.
Oh, it's flat with a tiny. Well, we'll get our lawyer friends. We'll call all of our lawyers and we'll get a ruling on this, Mike. So, but then we'll.
Yeah, I don't know any lawyers, so
We have a cousin lawyer,
and I'm not gonna lose sleep over it tonight that I can't figure this out. I just think, you know what, Sony, let them make their thing. Let the boys play.
Let the boys play. All right, new Harry Potter RPG will have a morality system. I thought this was interesting because I think, Mike, you were very excited about the new Harry Potter system or the new Harry Potter.
Could you imagine if Harry Potter had a morality system? That dude was like, I'm just gonna be out of school. I'm going to be out of bed and I'm going to wander. I'm going to talk back to this teacher. I'm going to break all these rules. And you know what? I'm going to be like Harold and like be a hero because of it. But you know what? Forget these rules. Forget having to be in bed by curfew. I'm going to petrificate Totalis and Neville Longbottom.
Or, just going into the girls' bathroom all the time for like a whole
going to the
second
girls'
book.
bathroom.
I guess it makes you wonder.
Teacher.
Like who's judging the morality in that universe, right? Because that would be the thing that you have to figure out.
The answer is nobody.
Maybe it's like the Sorting Hat. The Sorting Hat gets to decide who has morals or not. So the upcoming Harry Potter RPG will feature its own morality system. It has been revealed. The game Hogwarts Legacy will be set during the late 1800s. You will play as a Hogwarts student, which will let you choose your very own Hogwarts house, unless, of course, the Sorting Hat takes that decision for you. So with most RPGs, there are morality systems in them. I'm struggling to think of when like there was a morality system that I actually like really enjoyed interacting with. I know Mass Effect fans will say that there was one there. I think there was a Star Wars game that had a morality system. Someone's going to yell at me for not knowing it off the top of my head. But it was revealed that the game will feature a morality system. They'll be able to encounter missions and scenarios that will challenge their morality and determine what they stand for. Having a morality features no surprise, especially with a game like this. It's not given that the modern RPG games are shaped. It is not a given that modern RPG games are shaped by our choices. With that said, it is still nice to get an official confirmation that Hogwarts Legacy will feature a morality system to coincide with other factors that will shape your story. I actually don't like morality systems. I think they force you to either go in all the way on one side and you kind of feel like you have to continue to make that choice, even if you don't want to. I think there are there's a way to do it right that doesn't force a player to be like, all right, it's either black or it's white. There's no gray area in between, or else your character's boring down the middle, right? Like, I remember playing Fable. Fable was like one of the very first games where it like blew my mind. Like, oh, the choices you make will change the way you look. You could like, eventually you'd end up with a Halo in that game if you made all the right choices. If you made all the wrong choices, you'd end up with horns and you'd end up with flies buzzing around you. But if you just kind of went down the middle, then you just look like a normal Joe Schmo, and that's not very exciting at all.
Right.
So it'll be interesting, especially when you're talking about like school-age kids, like having a morality system. I don't know if that's going to feel weird.
But then also, like, is it so much a morality system, or is it you're picking the choices that our developers deem as good or bad?
Well, and like I said, that's like
So,
one of the downfalls of like, well, if the developer says this is the bad choice, right, or this is the good choice, like I think.
I guess you can kind of think of like Anthem. Anthem sort of had a morality system, only in that you could shape maybe conversations by the choices that you made. And the reason I bring that up is because at the end of the day, I'm like, do I even remember what I chose? Did it really impact the game at all?
No, the answer is
what
no.
I did. Even so, there's a point in Destiny also where there's a character that you have to choose if you're going to be it might not even be on the good or bad per se, but it's you have to make a choice that either puts an NPC kind of against you or for you, right? So it's not so much a morality thing as it is this is going to shape your interactions with this NPC. I think they wanted us to think it was going to be in a big way, but really it was just, I mean, you talk to that NPC just a few times. He makes some off comments to you as you walk by, and like that's about it. There's a quest chain that is different in the missions but ends up in the same place because really, Steve, I think that's one of the hard parts too, is that in a morality system in a game, you really still can only end up in this in the same place, right?
Right.
Your
For the
steps
most
to
part.
get there can be different, but because developers, they're not going to make 36 different games based on 36 different choices that you make. Like that's just it's just not feasible to do. And so it's just a weird way to get to the same place. And I think if you look at that end game experience, does it really matter how you get there?
I think for
For some
some,
people it does. For some people it does. And those are the people that like the morality and, you know, maybe I do this set of missions out of order. Maybe there's different dialogue when I do these missions. It does kind of offer an element of replayability also if you go back and play the game making the opposite choices, but ultimately you get to the end in the same place.
yeah, I think there was
And so I'm not sure how well.
I think there was a Bioware developer that said that even though that they had the Renegade and Paragon systems, like 90% of people went Paragon anyway. Because I don't know, I
Yeah.
don't know how many people like to be the a-hole in games. I think one of the interesting things that developers could do with a Harry Potter game would be to tie that to your house. Instead of
Yeah.
a good or bad student, it's more like, you know, where do you really align based on your choices, whether you're Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, or Slytherin. That would actually make more sense to me in a game like that, but I'm not the developer. I just thought it was interesting. I know you have an older son that is super excited about this game, so he'll
So
have
just
to.
as you were talking there, I was thinking it'd be really cool for you to be able to play the game, making all your choices, and then have your house revealed at the end, depending on your choices, instead of at the beginning. Because I think it would be a better indicator on kind of where you align. You know, if and that's not to say, I mean, sometimes what am I trying to say here?
Don't know.
You don't necessarily have to play your character as you would play yourself. You definitely could take that option, and then you could see what house you'd fall in. But I bet there's a lot of people there. I know that you tend, well, I guess you do play characters that more mirror your personality most of the time, right? You were a warlock. You were a storm.
Are you saying I'm a warlock in real life? Is that what you're insinuating?
No, just useless. I'm
Oh,
just
that
kidding.
makes
I'm just
more
kidding.
sense.
I'm just kidding. So you know, and it seems kind of interesting to me that you do kind of stick to that kind of
Play style?
mantra.
It's a
I
play
guess
style. Like,
a play style maybe, and maybe that's what it is more. Maybe that's what it is more versus a personality trait.
that's because
Um,
wizards are cooler than barbarians. That's why.
that is true. That is true. No, it's not.
It is true.
I don't know. It's just it. Yeah, I don't. I guess what I'm saying ultimately at the end of the day is I don't know if I would care either way if there's a morality system in place. I will be interested to see how my oldest does with this game and how he kind of views it and sees it. You know, just to see the newness of it for him.
Yeah. I agree. That'll be interesting. Thanks, Ash. All right, so this was actually something that was really interesting for people that are excited about Elden Ring, the next game coming from Software, creators of things like Armored Core or Dark Souls, and Demon Souls, all the Souls game, all the Souls, Sekiro,
Demon
Shadows Die Twice. All it took was for a tweet from them to get more people back and excited about it. They posted a little picture on a tweet. Someone was asking about it, and they're like, hey, it's still being worked on. We're excited about it. They appreciate the enthusiasm of all of their fans that they've shown for Elden Ring. Their next dark fantasy action RPG. We hope that they look forward to it. So that was the tweet that they sent out. So the internet lost their minds. They're super excited about this. I kind of went down a rabbit hole on this tweet.
No, that's never good.
It wasn't, because one of the first comments on this tweet was saying, hey, we would like an accessibility option to where other people can play this game. So video game accessibility has been a hot topic for the last couple of years. There's been a lot of talk on what that actually means. I think some people automatically assume that accessibility options mean to make the game easier for people. And I think we're starting to understand and learn more that that's not all of what accessibility means. There's a lot of different people with disabilities that would like to be able to play games in a way that they're able to enjoy it, whether it's through vision, hearing, sight, limbs, anything like that makes it so someone can have an easier time playing the game is kind of getting rolled up into that conversation. So when someone said that on this Twitter thread, like I must have been, read, through hundreds and hundreds of comments of people just saying, no, this game is supposed to be hard. That's the way you're supposed to enjoy it. If you can't play the game the way it was made, get good, don't play it, go play other games. And they always say go play other kid games. And there's this sentimentality, and I don't think this is every fan, so I'm definitely not saying every fan of From Software games are like this. But there tends to be this elite mentality of, I can beat this game and you can't, so go away. That was definitely one of the feelings I got from reading all of that there was not even no one even approached the conversation of hey, if other people that are unable to, whether because of physical disabilities or whatever, cannot enjoy this game, how can we help them do that? So most people are just uninterested in even having that conversation. And I think it's because of this ego thing of, well, I can beat the game, so everyone else should be able to beat the game. Or if I can beat this game and other people can't, that puts me on a different level as a video game player. So it was really interesting to read through this. Because
and if I may, it sounds more like an ignorant misunderstanding of what the question is, of what the statement is actually saying. Right?
I think there's part of that. I think
no, it's because it's not about go play a different game because this game is supposed to be hard. If people have disabilities, there needs to be a way for them to experience the game the same way that another person would experience the game. No ifs, ands, or buts. And you're right. There's great things coming out. I believe it's the picture that I have in my head is Xbox's adaptive controller, right? That is just, that makes me really upset and angry because I teach a group of kiddos who would benefit from adaptive type technologies to help them experience video games. And the comments, the ones that you shared, if I'm understanding them correctly, just scream ignorance and a irrational view of what the original tweeter was tweeting. And that just makes me upset.
I think there's kind of a gatekeeping mentality that comes into play also. Well, you can't do it, I can do it, so just get out of here. I really enjoyed Dark Souls 3. That game is very tough. It is very hard. I think that if you give it enough time, you could probably learn it and you could probably beat those games, because it really is just gameplay through repetition. You have to do it over and over again. But also, I understand that if people have certain muscle problems or, a lack of fingers, it makes it very hard to do. but also
Well,
like
you're right, but that doesn't make it a hard thing. That doesn't make it a change the difficulty settings thing. That's on developers to create a different way to integrate um, the game experience, and we have come so far in creating even VR and adaptive controllers and sensory input and so many ways that it's just frustrating, Steve.
yeah,
I don't know.
and my thought was like, okay, I've beaten the game. If they came out and said, "Hey, we're gonna turn on an easy mode so other people can play it," like that wouldn't make me mad at all. That wouldn't like phase me like at all. If you were like, "Oh, hey Steve, I went and played this and I beat it," like I wouldn't be, "Oh, you just played it on easy mode." Like you didn't really beat it. I mean, that seems like an old mentality that I remember from a really long time ago. Like when I beat Cuphead, because I beat Cuphead and that game is hard. Like I wouldn't care if they, maybe they even have added an easy mode to that game where people can go through and complete it. Like I don't care. Like experience the game how you want to experience it. Like I just don't understand the gatekeeping mentality of that. Like, yeah, they made a hard game, but like, does it hurt you at all that other people are able to enjoy it in a different way? No, it's confusing to me.
Well, and again, I don't want to beat this horse, but it's a misunderstanding of what it means to be accessible, right? I play most of my games on easy mode because I want to hear story and I want to keep up with that stuff. Maybe I'll go back and play it on hard mode. Like what's the point if it's so frustrating? It's from what I'm understanding, the way that you've laid this out, it's a misunderstanding in accessibility versus ease of play, right?
Yeah.
And it's wrong. And whoever wrote that tweet is I won't say it because I'm not that guy.
All right. So
and Garga Blarga.
yeah,
Moving
so
on.
I'll cover these
Move
next
on
two
to the
things
next
really
thing.
quick. So Todd Howard reveals that some new Starfield details and talking about Elder Scrolls 6. There's going to be day one Game Pass games. So that's going to be really exciting. And they talked about just, they're rehauling the engine. It's going to be different from the other Bethesda games. I think this is something that a lot of people are really excited about. A lot of people are pointing towards, Bethesda is the new saviors I was going to say Godfall for some reason, the new saviors of Xbox. So, I mean, these games are still a long ways out. So, I mean, hopefully those games will be a lot of fun. We'll all have access to them if we pay for Xbox Game Pass. So, also, this was a tweet or a message from Sony. They said that PlayStation 5s will not be sold at retail stores on launch day. All sales are online only, which I thought was interesting because I've been seeing tweets of people like having them in their stores, but I don't know if those are just for online sales for like, if you're buying it through Best Buy, you go pick it up at Best Buy. But all of their stuff is going to be through online sales only, and this also might be part of like a COVID precaution to like, hey, we're not trying to bring people in. We don't want people coming into the store just to get this thing, so they want everyone to do it online. So just that interesting thought. If you're looking to get a PlayStation 5, if you have not pre-ordered one, you might just have to check online again and see if you can get it that way.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that's the news. We'll take a audio clip to take us out here.
That's great. I enjoy gaming, but in my free time, I also do photography.
All right. So speaking of photography, Mike, I want to do this stupid quiz for you. All right. So I think we're going to do this quiz this way. This quiz is a how much of a gamer are you actually quiz, right? I'm going to create 2 tabs for it, and I will take it at the same time that you will take it, and we will see how much of a gamer we both are, and we'll see who is the more gamer. Does that make sense to you?
I am for sure the gamer of all gamers.
How much game?
This is gonna be interesting because for some reason I have sucked up a whole lot of interesting facts on games, although maybe not have played them all.
Okay.
But I think so it's gonna be interesting to see how I do.
All right. So
I'm probably gonna beat you,
probably.
which means of course you need to go play a different game and get good because
if you beat me, I will quit the show tonight.
I did it.
All right, so you will be on the left and I will be on the right. So question number 1, check all of the gaming achievements you've accomplished. All right, Mike? So,
Word.
have you stayed up all night trying to beat a game?
Define all night?
All night. Through the night.
Like 8 in the morning?
I will say to like, let's qualify all night to like 3 in the morning.
3 in the morning, yes.
Okay, so we have both done that. Let's see. Dressed as a video game character for Halloween. Have you dressed as a video game character for Halloween?
Okay, this is gonna get weird. Because I remember as a kid dressing up as the Ninja Turtle, and there are Ninja Turtle games. So does that
That is
count, or do they
true.
want like you dressed up like Link, or you dressed up like Mario? Like,
I'm going to give you that because there is a whole series of Ninja Turtle games. So, and it
Right.
says dressed as a video game character. Have I dressed up as a video game character for Halloween?
well, yeah, because you were a Ninja Turtle.
All right, count it. All right. Consumed multiple energy drinks in a gaming session. This one is a negative for me.
Well, yeah, because I don't drink energy drinks.
Yeah, I hate
do
them.
sodas count as energy
I
drinks?
don't think so. I think they would have said soda or caffeine if that counted. So I'm not going to count this one because I do not like energy drinks
not
at all.
counting it for me either.
All right.
I don't drink energy.
So this one's a weird question. This one says immediately looked up walkthroughs online. So I don't know, like, when would you immediately do that? Like, just
So
when you
I
like,
haven't immediately looked them up, but I have looked up. I remember looking them up for collecting collectibles in Destiny, trying to figure out where they're located.
all the ghosts. I'm
Yep.
gonna mark
When
this
we
for both of
were in
us.
Vault of Glass.
I think the immediately part is like throwing me off. Like, what does that mean? Like, when a game is announced, like I'm immediately going online to look it up, or when? Yeah.
Oh, if that's what it means, then no. We at least go into it dark before, and then we go back.
Yeah, but I would say like, if you immediately looked it up, then you're not much of a gamer because you like need help right away. So I think I'm gonna check both of these because either way it'll be washed for both of us. Okay, so I'm gonna check both of them for both of us. Made a
Did we
deal.
did it?
Yeah, made a deal with a friend to help you get a multiplayer achievement. That's easy. I'm gonna mark this one.
Made a deal.
I
with a
would say
friend?
I would change that make a deal to like make a plan. Like, hey, I have to get so many headshots in this match. Will you stand here in this multiplayer lobby so I can shoot you?
Oh yeah, I've never done that.
No, we did this for Destiny during the multiplayer stuff.
We did?
Yeah. You had to get so many kills for an achievement. It was you who I did it with, so. All right, so this one is going to be interesting. Thrown your controller during a rage quit.
No, because I'm weird about stuff breaking, and I'm very aware. I've done the whole kind of squeeze it, kind of flex it thing, but I've never thrown it. Never. Ooh. Let's take this back to Bomberman days. I'm gonna have to say yeah.
You threw controllers at, what would you have thrown a controller for? Just because you got
Just
upset
down.
or because?
Just throw them down. Yeah. Remember when our our turn, air quotes, was over and we had to give it to the next brother. I'm sure we very rarely handed it to each other. I'm sure it was a lot of, throwing it to the ground and stomping off. Which is what I would consider as a rage quit.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever thrown a controller
You
because
did it to me. Yeah, you threw one at me. But whatever.
All right, I'll just mark it. So, because your memory's
Yeah.
best. Okay, blown into a cartridge to make it work. That seems very obvious. I'll go ahead and check those.
Although it's funny because it says on the back to specifically not do that.
Yep, all that moisture gets on those contacts.
That's a bigger lie than I have read the terms and conditions.
Yeah. All right, this one, owned an Atari. I have never owned an Atari.
You say that, but we have.
No, we did have one. I remember that stupid thing.
We did have an Atari.
How come I didn't play it that often? Like, when was it? Why was it never hooked up?
I want to say that it may not have worked. And that's why we ended up getting it.
Huh.
because I think it was one of those hand-me-down things that our oldest brother was probably like, no, I can get this thing to work.
Interesting. Because I have vague
Do you remember?
memories of it now.
Do you remember the controller came out of the TV?
Yeah.
Like it was a weird Atari system.
All right. So owned an original NES. I'm going to mark that for us. Owned an
Yep.
original Game Boy. Owned a Sega Genesis. We did not own a Sega Genesis. I don't know if you
Not
did at
on
some point.
Sega.
We did not
Nope.
own a Dreamcast. All right. Named a pet after a video game character. Named a
Nope.
pet after a video game character. I had a bunch of fish at one time. Did I
Mike
name?
hasn't.
Did I name? No, I did not. All right. Owned a Dreamcast. No, already did that one. Okay. This is weird. Ended a multiplayer game with a grenade kill.
Nope.
That's like, okay.
That's oddly specific.
That's a weird question to be like, oh, you have to be a gamer to have done this. That's weird.
Mhm.
How about this one? Found the hidden flute in Mario 3. I'll mark that as a yes.
No for Mike.
You did not? Huh, weird. Okay.
I don't remember playing Mario 3 to completion.
Weird. I mean, there was hidden flutes in those things from the very beginning. Let me move this real
Which is fine. I just didn't do it.
No, that's fine if you don't remember. All right. What
It doesn't
about
sound like it.
played Wii Sports at a family gathering? I'm going to mark that one for both of us.
Yep.
Spent more than an hour designing your avatar. I don't think I've ever spent more than an hour on a character.
Would this be all totaled
No, I would say for one game.
for one game? Oh yeah, of course not. No.
Yeah.
No.
What about helped a character jump by moving your body? I'll mark that as a yes.
Helped a character jump by moving your body. Oh, I get what you're saying
Yeah.
now. I understand the question. Yeah.
All right, this one. Canceled plans with your significant other to play games.
So I would say I didn't cancel them, but we did like plan them together. And like we blocked out that time knowing this would be in this case this was raid night, and so this is what we're doing kind of thing.
In case my wife ever listens to this, I'm going to say I definitely have never done this, so I'm not going to mark it. All right, had to stop playing a survival horror game at night because it got too real.
No, because I don't play that genre.
I'm going to mark this. Well, it's not a survival. Half-Life Alyx is not a survival horror game, so I'm not going to mark this. So I'm just going to leave that one blank. I don't play that genre. Also, gotten overwhelmed by all the games you haven't played yet. I'm not going to... That's a weird question. Like, have you gotten overwhelmed by all the games you haven't played yet? Because really, there's like
No,
millions of games.
Well, yeah, and I'd have to qualify that with own the games,
Yeah.
right? Because there's there's tons of games that we haven't played yet, and we're like none the wiser. But maybe, so I bet right around holiday season you could probably get this way with all the stuff. Like when you're saying I got to do this is in my backlog, this is in my backlog. I would say you've gotten whelmed, maybe not overwhelmed.
Yeah, I'm not going to put that. Okay, had an embarrassing outburst in a public place. Elevator, office, subway. Why do they always put like, that's the only restaurant they put in here? Like, why don't they put like elevator, office, or like McDonald's or something? It's weird that they put subway because of a mobile game.
Steve?
Yeah?
I'm pretty sure they mean the Subway.
Nah, I don't think so. Because I don't have, we don't have subways
Not
here.
Subway sandwiches.
Well, we don't have
right?
subways where we live, so I don't. But we have Subway sandwiches. So had an embarrassing
sure they mean
outburst in a
the
public
Subway.
place because of a mobile game. I have not done that. I've not like embarrassed myself with a public outburst because of a mobile game. So, man, I'm not a gamer, Mike. I'm learning that I'm not a gamer here. Refuse to look up a walkthrough online.
Act in public.
Okay, this is weird because first we had immediately look up a walkthrough and then refuse to look up a walkthrough. So what is it, BuzzFeed? Like, are you a gamer if you look at it or a gamer if you don't? I don't know if I like, because if to like refuse to look it up, that's like, oh, I'm not going to do that. Like, because if you get stuck and you like refuse to look something up, like again, this is like weirdly worded, but I guess they probably get paid for, you know. It's not like BuzzFeed articles like are the most extensive things ever. I'm not gonna mark this because I would never like refuse to do something. If I got stuck and wanted to look something up, I would just go look it up.
Yeah, but I mean, there are people who, again, it's a pride thing, and there's nothing wrong with that.
It's fine. It's like the whole
I probably haven't refused to go look it up. I probably have looked it up if I needed to.
Okay, we'll leave these blank. So, got calluses from a joystick. I'm gonna put yes on this one.
Got calluses. Have I ever gotten calluses from a joystick?
I can tell you the exact game. This was me playing Mario Party with some friends. It's the very first Mario Party on the 64. You had to rotate the stick in a circle as fast as you can to like win that game. So you would just put your palm on it and rotate it super fast. And I got a blister on the center of my palm from doing that.
Did it turn into a callus though?
No, I guess there's not one there now, but when I showed Dad, I was like, Dad, look, I got a blister. He's like, you got that from playing a game? And then I think he backhanded me because I wasn't like shoveling dirt or something and didn't get a blister from that. I'm pretty sure that's a memory I have of him.
Yeah, that's mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have.
All right, this one made it through Ori and the Blind Forest without crying. I will check that one.
I unfortunately have not yet made it through Ori and the Blind Forest.
All right. Had a serious crush on a video game character. So this says a serious crush. So that means you were like in love with pixels. I'm going to say no on this one.
Negatory.
All right. Memorize the Konami code. So this is one, Mike, that I
Does
think is
anybody
interesting.
not know this?
Hold on.
Aren't people just born knowing this?
I think so, but I always get it mixed up because I think it's one of those things that's been shared so often that it's like gets confusing. So off the top of your head, Mike,
Okay.
what is the Konami code?
It's up, down, left, right, A, B, start.
Nope, that is incorrect.
It's not though.
It is up, down, left, right, BA start.
No. It's not up, down, left, right, A, B, select start.
No, and that was one of the things that like I don't know why like that was put into your mind, like that code. So yeah.
Wasn't that I thought that was Infinite Lives in Contra 2 player.
Yeah, that is, but it's up, down. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to say
up, down.
I'm going to say we have the Konami code memorized because we know what the Konami code is, right? And that's like, hey, you know what the Konami code is? That's like more of the, instead of like having it memorized or whatever. All right. Own more than one of the same generation console.
Yes.
I'm going to check that one.
Yep.
Subscribe to a gaming magazine. I will check that one.
I am not.
I had Nintendo Power for the longest time. Love that magazine. All right,
Did you really?
Yeah, I like had so many Nintendo Powers. How did I get it?
Yeah,
They would mail it to me.
Were you an adult?
No, I was in high school. So this was because I forget when Nintendo Power stopped, but I subscribed to Nintendo Power and I had that for a really long time. It was like the coolest magazine, man. Like I really enjoyed Nintendo Power. I was sad when it stopped. All right,
Do you still have them?
No, I got rid of them. Like maybe I didn't get rid of them, but maybe like mom or dad like cleaned out my old stuff when I was gone, and they were gotten rid of because it would be cool to have some of those still because that would be a cool thing to have. All right, mained a character in a fighting game. I did main Captain Falcon in Super Smash Brothers.
Falcon Punch.
Did you main a character in a fighting game?
Yeah, probably. I think Street Fighter. I was always, oh shoot, Mike, Guile.
Yep. Moon kick.
I think I was always him.
All right, so we'll mark that for both of us. Had a very serious fight with a friend over a game. I will mark that. Devin and I almost came to blows many times over Tetris. Have you ever had a serious fight with someone over a game?
Does the Overwatch drama of 2016 count?
Yep, I will count that because that was definitely a fight. Made it through Monument Valley without crying. I actually haven't played Monument Valley, so I cannot mark that.
Oh, I thought they meant just the drive-through.
Without crying? Did you go through Monument Valley without crying? I actually didn't cry the last time we drove through Monument Valley, but
man,
it's a cool place.
I think the first time you went, you did. Like that place is like speaks to you on a whole different level.
All right.
No, probably did not cry through Monument Valley.
100%ed an action adventure game. This would be like playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey and getting every single feather, playing Batman Arkham Asylum and getting all the Riddler trophies. I'm trying to think of an action RPG game that I played and got everything in. I don't think there is one that I did 100% because I hate fetch quests. I hate collecting stuff like that, so I refuse to do them. I think it's boring and tedious.
The only game that I've 100%ed was Disney Infinity 1.0.
That's kind of an action adventure game.
I would think.
I will mark it for you. I gotta look at on my achievement list and see what else I have on there. All right, made the Kremlin blast off in Tetris. I don't know what that is, Mike.
The Kremlin, so it's a building.
Well, I know the building,
but so I've done it. Actually, I should say the.
Oh no, I've done it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. You probably didn't. You probably cheated at it. So made the Kremlin blast off in Tetris.
Did it? Yeah.
Called off work to play a game on release date. Mark that.
I actually did not. It just happened when Anthem came out. I just happened to have the day off.
This is a long quiz. All right. Use the hot coffee code in GTA 4. I have not. I'm not a GTA fan, so I never played it. Played a RPG unreleased in the US. I have done that.
I have not.
100%ed an RPG. I have done that. 100% in Final Fantasy VI.
Maybe I don't play games.
Waited in line for a game to be released. I did that for Halo 4. I think that's probably the last game I did that for.
Nice.
Have you ever waited in line for one?
No, I have not. Unless you count a digital line.
Nope. Passed through Fire and Flames on Expert and Guitar Hero. I have definitely not done that on Expert.
I have not.
Watched an esports tournament. I have done that.
Nope.
You've never watched an esports tournament, huh? Bought a video game soundtrack. I have done that.
I did when I bought the game.
Fair enough. Broke 1 million on every level of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I have definitely not done it on every level.
I haven't done it at all.
Man, these are like oddly specific. This is like assumes you've played every single game. Made it through Gone Home Without Crying. Have not played Gone Home. Mike, I'm assuming you have not. Tensed up when you.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, tensed up when you heard the boss battle theme song from Final Fantasy VII. I guess I've never tensed up from hearing that. Okay, knew your KD ratio offhand.
I actually do.
I'll mark that for you. Mine's easy. It's always 0.
It's 0.10.
Joined a guild in an MMORPG. I have done that. I'm assuming you have not.
I have not.
Modded a console. I have modded a console. I did a bashing case on a Xbox 360 when that game came out.
Very cool. Came out.
Rebuilt the Moon in Katamari Damacy, another game I have not played. Lied about your KD ratio. I have definitely lied about my KD ratio.
I did a couple seconds ago.
I said it was 0.5. It really is never been above 0.5. See, look at this. Beat every game in the Souls series. Like, yeah, okay. Attended.
Yeah, this is a really long quiz, and
we're almost done.
Okay.
Attended a gaming conference. We'll mark that for both of us. Reached the top of an arcade cabinet leaderboard. Nope. I think this is probably doable by everyone. When the leaderboards have been reset, you just kind of go in and you get the type score because you're the first one to play on it.
Yeah, I mean, but...
All right, attended an esports tournament. I have not done that. Replayed a game after you beat it just to get achievements. We have done that.
Yep.
Beat more than 3 Titans in Titan Souls. I don't even know what Titan Souls is. Ended a multiplayer game with a no-scope kill.
Nope.
Again, oddly specific. Fought a whole match in a fighting game without taking damage. Yeah, I think we've all been able to get a perfect at one point or another. Have you ever gotten a perfect? I'm assuming you have.
No.
Wow. Hosted a LAN party? I've never hosted a LAN party.
Hey, you did. You were at my house hosting one.
I guess that's true. This was just recently. Claimed to understand the end of Bioshock Infinite. Nope. Possess a lifetime positive KD ratio. I don't know how anyone could even track this. Like, you would have
I
to
bet
track.
there are people who do.
No, you would have to track every single game that you have ever played because it says
I
possess
bet
a
it
lifetime
means
positive.
game specific.
No, like it like oh, okay, so if I like jump on, go shoot one person and I never play that game again and I have a 1.0 KD, like then I have a lifetime positive KD ratio.
For that game, you do.
Maybe it means in real life. Have you ever killed someone in real life? No, I have not. Played in
It's
an
a fishing-
esports tournament. I have played in tournaments online, and it was an esport game, so I'm going to count that. This one is next. Have you caught them all, Mike?
Have I caught the ball?
Have you caught them all? Got to catch them
I
all.
have not caught them all.
I have caught the original Pokemon in Pokemon Blue, so I'm going to mark that. Named a child after a video game character.
No, we know people who have.
I'm going to mark that one as a yes. And I don't know what this means. Reached a kill screen.
Reached a kill.
If you
screen? I
were
don't know
if
what
you
that
were a smart person, like what would you think that means? Reached a kill screen.
is. Kill screen. I have no idea.
All right,
Chat
so
if
time to
anybody's
show
in
us
chat.
the results. Okay, so Michael, how much of a gamer are you actually? You are 21 out of 65 on the list. You're a mid-level gamer. You get pwned more than you pwn. Keep grinding. 50%. All right, I got 37 out of 65. I'm level 3 hard. All right, you can game pretty good. You've amassed some pretty wicked kill streaks in your day. Don't hit pause now. Look at us, Mike. We took this.
Wow,
Stupid
that's
quiz.
super cool. We appreciate everybody hanging with us through that.
Whatever. Everyone is now like thinking like, I wonder what level gamer I am. Do I have a
I'm
positive
sure-
kill death
I'm
ratio?
sure that's exactly what they're thinking.
I mean, really, it's just like, yeah, it's really a slow news day over here, waiting for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox to drop next week. So,
Yep. And
Hopefully-
it's gonna be exciting when it does. I should stream my unboxing, huh?
I
People
really
would
think you should.
love to see me do that.
You should record it
You what?
anyway. You should have your kids unbox it, and you record your kids unboxing it.
I don't know if they'll even like know/care.
They're just opening a box. I mean, that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, how hard can it be? You're just opening a box.
Well, they'd find a way to break it.
They find a way to break the box.
Yeah. What's in a box?
All right, Mike. Do you want to talk about the Mandalorian?
We should talk about the Mandalorian, but we are going to give everybody fair warning right here and now that we are going to talk about Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1, which really is Chapter 9 when you watch it. So we're going to give everybody a chance to get off if you're going to get off because you haven't watched it yet in spoilers. We appreciate you hanging out. We will catch you next week. Definitely come back and listen to this part of the show after you have watched. And we are going to start talking about it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh my gosh, Steve. How cool was Mandalorian Chapter 9?
So let's talk about Mandalorian Chapter 9, titled The Marshal. So, Mike.
The Marshal.
I had a thought the other day, and I'm like, man, you know what Halo needs? Halo needs to just be the Mandalorian, but in the Halo universe, right? Because like Halo has gone and like gotten sucked up in this whole like, hey, let's keep doing the Covenant War, let's keep like trying to blow up the galaxy. And I'm like, you know, that's kind of like Star Wars. Star Wars always has this, hey, we're going to end the universe threat because we're the Empire, we're going to take over, blah, 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 blah. But then like the Mandalorian comes around and he's like, I don't know, I'm just going to go beat up this guy in this one little town. And like, that's the story. And the story is like, oh, like that's the story we just all wanted. We don't need this big, high, overarching, like cosmic threat that's always like, you know, planets are going to get blown
Getting ready
up.
to destroy the world.
And we need one person with a light sword to come save it. Like Mando's just like, all right, I showed up, something needs fixing, and I'm going to fix it, right? I mean, that's what the
just
show
like-
is.
like God bless John Favreau and the horse he rode in on, right? Because that dude has just created like the best story, the most concise, the simplest. It's the story we need, but not the one we deserve right now, right? So it's just so good.
So
It's so good.
I want to get your thoughts as we talk about this, Marshall. So we enter the fighting ring. Mando's got to get some information on where some other Mandalorians are because he assumes that other Mandalorians will be able to lead him to the Jedi because there was a huge Jedi Mandalorian conflict in the past, and he doesn't know anything about it. Somehow he does not know who the Jedi are. I guess, when you think of as the universe as a whole, like people know of the Jedi, but it's not something that's probably talked about a lot, especially because all the Jedi were killed off. So this is like 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and there's not that many Jedi out there. Luke is probably out there training new Jedi. He's probably finding new people to train, but it's not something that's widely known, especially if you're a Mandalorian that's been in hiding for a while. So he's gonna go talk to Luigi Mario.
Well, and he's looking for a place. He's looking for the race of people. What am I trying to say?
He's looking for
He's
Yoda's
he's been
race.
quested, right? He's been quested to find the race that the child belongs to, and so he's seeking out Mandalorians in order to help Baby Yoda, right? Even though I hate calling him Baby Yoda because
Why
he's
do
not
you?
Baby Yoda.
No, you just call him the child.
Yeah, exactly. But most people refer to him as Baby Yoda. I believe his Funko Pop is Baby Yoda. No, his Funko Pop is the child. So
They
that's
should
at least
stop
accurate
making
there.
Funko Pops.
But anyway, so even before that though, Steve, there's tons of artwork and graffiti that is supposed to be callbacks to tons of different things, right? Um, so in the graffiti on the wall, there are slights to the Empire for blowing up the Death Star. There are, or not blowing up the Death Star, but for Alderaan, there's calling them murderers. There's pictures of Grievous. There's pictures of a couple protocol droids that we might know of, right? So that's thrown in at the very beginning as graffiti as the Mandalorian is walking to meet this guy who is supposed to have some information for him. And so he gets to the fighting pits. Bum bum bum.
And then he gets betrayed there by Luigi
He
Mario.
so gets betrayed.
But eventually, he gets his own by hanging up this guy at the end. So, and then back to Tatooine. Like, how many times do you think we've like tapped Tatooine like way too much? Like, is this something like there's a lot of planets out there, or is it just so
There's so
synonymous
many
with
planets.
Star Wars that it's like, no, we're going back to Tatooine again because it's
I
also
think this
really
might be
easy to
one
shoot.
of the shortfalls. This might be one of the shortfalls because it's all right now. Connect it to something that we know of in the past, right? Which has everybody geek out. Oh, they're back on Tatooine, but like we totally could have a new place. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
All
It's
right,
on Tatooine.
but also like we get some callbacks. The R5 unit that blows up when Luke and Uncle Owen are gonna buy a droid. That red R5 unit was there. You could see the blast marks that even like however many years it's been, like no one has cleaned up that droid. Like just like rub that soot off or something. Like give it a bath. I
Right.
don't know. Like just leave it there. Like people on Tatooine just don't care about any of their stuff, right? They don't care to clean it. They don't care to. It's like whatever. It's like you're dirty. So that thing was there, and then the Mando's like, all right, he's got to find out where there's a Mando on Tatooine because he's been told that there is one. He goes to Mos Pelgo, and he finds out that there is a Mandalorian there. There's Mandalorian armor there. And I thought of, like, Mos Pelgo is, like, through New Mexico, man. There's, like, 2 buildings, and that's an outpost. Like, there's nothing there. Like, why on earth are you out here? And it makes you wonder, like, what the commerce on Tatooine is? Is it, like, just to get away? Or, like, what are you doing on this planet? Just, like, in the middle of nowhere with just desert.
Right. And so Mos Pelgo was a mining settlement, right? So at some point, something was being mined. And I like your analogy to compare it to where we grew up because the history of where we grew up is it was an outpost for uranium mining that took place in the neighboring area. And when the uranium mine closed up, so did our hometown. So it's very reminiscent of exactly how our city was formed and how where we grew up, kind of its whole history. So it's we can very much relate to that, right? And so
except for the raids by the Sand People and the giant
except
crate
for the
dragon.
raids by the Sand People and the just utter awesomeness of the spaghetti western, as you come in and you get the side eye glances and you walk up to the bar and you ask for are there any Mandalorians here, and then what happens, Steve? The marshal walks in and he is what?
Is he what? But first, I want to like mention how cool the just rolling up on the
Okay.
speeders are, because
You
like
do
have speeders ever been more cool than they have been in the Mandalorian? Because we have the speeder chase on the on the moon of Endor. We have that in Return of the Jedi, and that was like always like one of the iconic scenes for me, just because I always enjoyed motorcycles. But it's like, man, they make speeders so much cooler in this series, and it's because they're like just slow rolling them through town. Before we
Yep.
would see Anakin like take off on him super fast. Rusted in the chat says, fortunately, there's no trees on Tatooine, and that's like the best
Yeah.
place for stormtroopers. Like, hey, let's go to Tatooine to try out these speeders so we don't run into trees. But like yeah, just like slow them down. People are like, yep, those are pretty awesome, and he's just like rolling through like on a Harley or he's on a horse, and like you said, he's getting side eyed. So the Vanth, the marshal, comes in, and you're like, oh, that's Boba Fett. But it's like Boba Fett if like Boba Fett was like going through like a weird like teenage phase where he's like doesn't want to wear the full uniform. He like got rid of his cape. And at first I was like, that's his armor. It's like super damaged and chipped up, but that's his armor. And then he's like, yo, you're a Mando. And he's like, yeah, I'm a Mando, and just takes his helmet off. So you're like, oh, okay, he's definitely not the Mandalorian.
But first, what was your reaction to that? When it cuts to just from torso down, and then you see the helmet go on the table.
I didn't think that it would have been Boba Fett at that time, because Boba Fett, like, I guess I don't know as much as I should about Boba Fett lore, because he's one of those characters that has like this super big cult following that like people that know about Boba Fett know about Boba Fett. And I was never like a Boba Fett fan. I thought he was like
All right, hang on.
Okay.
Because you're saying Bubba or Boba? Which one is it?
What I say? It's Boba Fett.
It's Bubba, like Bubba.
Shrimp Fett. It's also I will say it is Boba Fett. Just I will enunciate the Boba more.
Okay.
Because I always thought the guy was like, he went out like a punk anyway, right? Like he didn't do much. Like he got hit in the back, and his jetpack like sent him off into the Sarlacc pit. I mean, and that was it. It's like, oh, yeah, exactly.
So for those who don't know, we are referencing I believe it was an Adult Swim.
Yeah, it's a robot.
It really
chicken.
is pretty funny. So you can Google it. It's the Adult Swim Boba Fett's demise, or the ending of Boba Fett, and it's hilarious. But anyway, so the marshal walks in,
Yeah,
takes his helmet off.
I didn't think it was
the big
him.
reveal is A, this dude's really not a Mandalorian, because Mandalorians aren't supposed to take their helmets off, and B, somehow he has Boba Fett's armor, right? And then our guy, the Mandalorian, goes into I must have this armor mode, and is like, he needs this armor, right? Right. So there's this standoff. He's getting ready to shoot guns and getting ready to blow people up because he wants this armor, because as part of the guild, Mandalorians must reclaim this armor.
So like, speaking of like the Mandalorian armor, and you're like, oh yeah, this is super sought after armor, super special, blah blah blah. Like when you're looking at Vanth, like it's almost like he has the same amount of armor as someone riding motocross would have. Right? It's like a chest plate, a helmet, like it's not covering your stomach. There's like a lot of open air area where you can just get shot. Like Han Solo would just like shoot you in the gut if you were a Mandalorian. So I thought that was kind of weird. And maybe I'm just not up on my Mandalorian armor and anything that they have underneath there. But like the Vanth stuff looked cool. Like the design for Vanth, like the cables coming off of the armor into the glove, like it was a really interesting look. I think like the stuff they're doing on the Mandalorian, like it just looks so much more interesting than anything like that has been done before in the Star Wars universe. And I don't know what it is. I don't know like if it's just the way that they're like designing these things. Like it just seems more Star Wars than recent Star Wars that we've had, right? When you look at Finn, you look at Poe, and you look at Daisy Ridley, Rey, that's her name, Rey Skywalker. Like this is like the most Star Wars thing that we've had in a really long time, and I'm really enjoying it just because like, and maybe it is just because it's getting back to that more Western vibe of the original series, and maybe not even the original series, but just of A New Hope, because that was very Western also, and it's just getting back to that feel of like, this is the tiny story we're telling. There's some, a problem that needs to be solved, and he's going to go solve it. So I really like that part. I liked Vanth as a character. I was kind of, I don't know why exactly, like, Mando needs that armor so bad, unless it's just like, hey, this is part of my religion, and we have to have that. If that's it, then I get that. But, I mean, he was pretty dead set about just, like, shooting that place up right away just to get that armor.
Yeah, he was. I will have this armor, he say.
That's what he said.
That is what he said, and he got it.
It's true.
There's that.
I'm waiting for you to go. Are you gonna go? You want me to go?
I'll go. Who does it? Who talks first? I talk first. You talk first. Okay. So there's this battle, right? And then the Marshal says to the Mandalorian, "I'll give you back." I don't know why I'm talking like that. He says, "Okay, you can have this armor back, but first you got to help me attack this crate or kill this crate dragon." And just prior to that, a crate dragon sauntered, tunneled through town, and ate a bantha, right? Bantha?
Yes.
Right. So he chews up a bantha. The Mandalorian sees it. He's like, "Oh, you guys got to get that fixed." And he's like, and the Marshal says, "Well, you got to help me do this because these people, they're one sand person raid away from losing all hope and all this, So the Mandalorian, because he's a good guy, he says, "Yeah, sure, I'll take this child into a dangerous situation, even though I've been entrusted to its care."
It makes sense.
Now that you think about it, that might not have been the best choice. But he decides that he's going to help because he's a good guy and he's going to help. And so they take their bikes and they track this crate dragon to where it lives. And Steven totally geeked out about the Marshal's bike because
I totally think that it is like it's very similar to the engine that Anakin uses when he goes pod racing. It has the same profile, has a lot of the same fins on it. There's some added stuff to it, but you'd have to think, if you go from Phantom Menace to 5 years after Return of the Jedi, there's a lot of times where you can, have to make repairs or update that thing. And again, this is like something that, like, we complain a lot about like them pulling too much from things that we already know from the trilogy. Like we had the blue milk last season, and we had the two aliens. No, I'm thinking of Solo. That's why I was thinking of that. I was thinking of like all the things that they did in Solo. But yeah, so like bringing the speeder back, if it is the speeder or if it's not the speeder, like the bike still looks super cool. And it's like, all right, maybe Tatooine is just so backwater that they have to reuse every single thing that they can, that this like pod racer engine was retrofitted into some sort of transportation for this person and has been passed down. Like that's the kind of like backstory that I really enjoy, because it's not backstory that needs an explanation, but it's a backstory that allows for people just to like start speculating and making up their own stuff. Plus it just looks freaking cool. Like that's like the kind of design in Star Wars that I really like. Stuff that's cobbled together, and this is probably why I like Mad Max Fury Road so much, because that's a very similar vibe to something like this. Look at all these old cars. We need to keep them running, mash them together, put some spikes on it, put these old tank tires on this car because these two things work together, and you're just kind of like mixing and matching parts as you need. And I think that's just part of like the Star Wars that I enjoy, because you look at the Millennium Falcon and that's like, those are ugly ships. There's nothing about the Millennium Falcon that's like, hey, I'm sleek and I'm fast and I'm awesome. They're just like ships that are like, hey, this is a functional spaceship, and the Vanth has a functional pod racer engine that may or may not have been owned by Darth Vader at one time. So I think that's pretty dope.
Nice. Keep going. You're good.
No, I was going to let you keep going. So other than that,
Okay.
like we have, them attacking the Crate Dragon. Crate Dragon has a callback to Knights of the Old Republic. In that game, when you defeated a Crate Dragon, you could get a pearl out of it, and it was super valuable, and it was part of some quest steps to like make a lightsaber. So that's what they were all looking for. They found that pearl at the end, and it's one of those things that it's like you don't have to make references like that, because I don't know how many people watching Mandalorian are gonna get that, but someone is. And for them to take the time to even know or to care enough to be like, hey guys, what would be cool if there was a pearl inside of this Crate Dragon, because it references this thing that has happened in the past. But yeah, so they fight the Crate Dragon. The only question I had about that Crate Dragon fight is they had those ballistas set up to grab that thing. Like, what did they think those ballistas were going to do? Like, did they ground those ropes at like 150 feet into the earth? Or what was going on there? What was the thought behind that?
I don't think they did, but maybe they thought they were going to.
Because otherwise, like, oh, I guess it's just going to go underground and those ropes will be taken. So and Rusted in the chat says maybe that's all that they had at the time, which is very possible. I mean, it's either that or I guess they just had to hold it for a little while. But yeah, it's like that thing's going underground. Did you get Trimmer vibes, Mike? Were you like, man, this would be like the ultimate Trimmer movie that they could come out with now, to have like a Crate Dragon size?
What'd you call them?
Trimmers.
Trimmers, huh? Like hedge trimmers?
I'm sorry, Tremors.
Oh, tremors. Sorry. I apologize. I do apologize. No, I didn't really get it. Wasn't super into that movie. It wasn't like super like that for me, but it was cool to see him kind of burrowing through there and like getting ready to bite stuff. I definitely don't like how people run away from things in a straight line.
Yeah, that's very much
like,
Game of Thrones all over again.
Yeah, just like
serpentine
like
a little,
zigzag,
get a
guys.
zig, get a zag in there. Like move to the left slightly. Have you never learned how to run away from an alligator? Like I thought that was one thing that we learned like back in the day. Everyone knows how to run away from an alligator.
Yeah, at least we thought everyone knew how to do that.
Yeah. So in closing, we see a silhouette of a person watching Mando speed away, going back to his ship, and then we see Boba Fett ? Turn around and face us. So this is the part where I kind of did a deep dive on who this guy is. So IMDb lists Tamura Morrison as the bounty hunter, and he has voiced clones and Boba Fett in other things before, and we know that all the clones were based off of Jango Fett, and Jango Fett was given one of his clones that was unaltered so that he can raise as a son who later becomes Boba Fett. So I think this is probably the Fett, or this is either a clone from the Clone Wars that has come back, but my guess is it's probably Boba Fett. And if so, like, do you want him back in here, Mike, or is this still pulling too much from the original trilogy?
I think it's pulling a little much from the original trilogy, because what we're left with in what we assumed was Boba Fett's final scene was being digested for 1,000 years, and like you thought it was dead and done, right? But this character, and there are lots and lots of people on the internets who believe that this is indeed Boba Fett. Not only that, but there's also some people who think that he was also one of the Sand People in disguise, as the Mandalorian was talking to, was kind of camped with a few Sand People.
Why
so
did
there's
they see that?
that
What's
whole
the
theory.
What's the theory there? Do they just see similarities?
So in
or?
the scene, where he's sitting there, the Mandalorian, he has a name, and I forget the Mandalorian's name. I always
forget it. We just call him Mando.
Yeah. So he's there and he's talking and he's just having like a campfire meeting with some sand people. But there's one sand person who's kind of off, kind of removed a little bit. And there's a theory thinking that that's him kind of sizing up the Mandalorian, trying to get just trying to fill him out or whatever. I don't know if that's true or not. Again, that's pulling way too much on you're just trying to connect things to what we know, where it's been, kind of let it die kind of thing. If it does turn out to be Boba Fett, it's going to be interesting to see where the story goes and how that's all going to play out. I hope that it's not, because of what we've said in the past, that we would just rather it not be callbacks to the past. Let's go ahead and change it up a little bit.
Yeah. Rusted in the chat says, what if the crate dragon killed that Sarlacc pit, which let him get out? I think that's a possibility, but I think that's like that would be like too
on the nose.
Yeah, too on the nose. Because we do know that when Boba Fett went in, like old canon, like he escaped because he detonated some thermal detonators and then he got out. I mean, he has a jetpack, so he could just jump out of the thing.
But it wasn't working.
Well, I mean, it worked when he went in. I'm sure he could. He's got like 1,000 years to fix that thing while he's slowly being digested. It's not like he's got under any time constraints or anything. But I don't remember like what part of old Star Wars canon is canon now, or if it's part of Legends. I don't know if Boba Fett's story is, but I mean, like either way, however he gets out, like somehow he loses his armor. So like that's, I think, would be the story I'd be more interested in. Like, well, I don't even know if I'd be interested in that, because it ends up in the hands of a bunch of Jawas. And I think that's like the less interesting option, because they're Jawas, right? It's like, oh, the Jawas found him. Did they find him just like dying out there? They took his armor off and like kicked him out? Because we saw the Mandalorian take on a whole, sandcrawler full of Jawas, and he came out on the winning side of that. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the story goes. Like, I mean, it'll probably be the first time we get to hear more of Boba Fett talk, instead of just being like, a silent villain that somehow became like this phenomenon without even having many lines.
Without having to do anything. He does talk. He has more lines than like the special edition versions, right? If anybody who still watches those. But it'll definitely be interesting on where it goes from here. But overall, just like great show, super fun to watch. Yeah,
it's one of the only reasons to own Disney Plus right now.
It is.
So.
It really is.
All right, everyone, thank you for hanging out with us until the end of the show. Thank you for hanging out with
Wow.
Thank you for hanging out with us through our 65 question Are You a Gamer quiz, and then for this talk on the Mandalorian. Hey, episode 10 out tomorrow. Really exciting. And then next week, guys, we are into the new generation. Godfall's coming out. Hang out over, go look at Godfall 101, new channel that I've been working on for a while now. That thing's going to kick up. Lots of content going up there. And until next time, please be kind to each other as always, regardless of who you voted for. We are Americans, and we should act like we're Americans. So whatever that means anymore in 2020. What does it mean to be American anymore, Mike, huh?
It ought to mean to care about people regardless. It ought to mean to put aside your differences. And it ought to mean that at the end of the day, we are all Americans, and we ought to have each other's back. But
yeah. All right. Until next time.
Too often.
Do you have a freaky talent?
A freaky talent?
Because I got one. I'll show you.
Oh, what do you have?
I can bark like a dog.
Thank you for listening to the Freelancer Codex, a podcast brought to you by the Shut Up and Respawn Network. Follow us at Freelancer Codex on Twitter or Twitch. Send emails to freelancercodex@gmail.com. or voice messages to anchor.fm/freelancercodex/message. We wish to thank all of our Patreons. We are grateful for you all.
In stream.